the same way, on the other side of the chart, we have the owner contracting with a materialman. And this materialman now is in the position where they have the right to lien without further preamble. In this situation here, the contractor has hired a material person, and this materialman also now has a right to lien, but first must establish this right by virtue of the filing of the notice to owner. It's also indicating here that material men that are twice removed from the situation, such as shown by these lines here, may have no right to lien whatsoever. Material men reach a point where they cannot be paid or do not have a position in this relationship, as do subcontractors. Another point of information that you need to be aware of, and that is referenced in this chapter, has to do with the positioning of a bond. Now, think about it for a moment. This contractor is going to contract with this owner to build something, and the owner is requiring the contractor to provide a performance and payment bond. Well, the provision of a performance payment bond is going to protect everybody down here, because these are the people that would be paid in the event that the contractor defaulted. And so these people down here, in the presence of a payment and performance bond, do not have the right to lien the property. In fact, the provision of the bond removes the right to lien. Why should they have or need a right to lien the property if they're promised to be paid? However, that bond does not protect this contractor. In the event of some kind of a problem or default, the bond would not step in and protect the contractor. And so anybody that is in privity still has a right to lien the property, even in the presence of a payment and performance bond, while anybody who is not in privity, if there is a payment and performance bond, now does not have the right to lien the property. Once we get past the concept of privity and not in privity, and the idea that the lien is an extraordinary claim that requires specific steps to pursue, we now would want to look at the broader issue of what the timetables are involved in this process. So if you were to take out the exhibit that deals with lien law concepts, timetables, we can explore it together. Once again, this is a timeline, and this is time is moving from the left to the right. And what's going to happen first is that the owner is going to file what is called the notice of commencement. Now, the notice of commencement is the official start clock of everybody's claim of lien. In other words, if you file a notice of commencement, you're saying, hey, nobody before this moment has any rights here, and anybody later on that wants to pursue a claim of lien pursues it as of the date of this notice of commencement. So everybody's lined up by virtue of the filing of this notice of commencement. Now, the notice of commencement is important for a number of reasons for the exam. Number one, it is the owner that files it, because the word file here means sign. And although we may deliver it to the building department or what have you, the owner is the one that files it. Also, the notice of commencement must be present on the job site before the first inspection is approved by the building department. And finally, any job valued over $2,500 has to have a notice of commencement in order to pull a permit according to the Southern Standard Building Code. So the owner is going to file this notice of commencement. And this notice of commencement must be filed 90 days in advance of starting the work. So if today was January the 1st, and I wanted to know the earliest possible day I could have filed the notice of commencement, I'd have to subtract 90 days from January. If you give this a try and you can't figure out how to do it, take a look at the cram book dealing with word problems and from, and how you deal with from and before. And if that doesn't do it for you, bring it into the class and your instructor will go through it with you. However, the deadline for the notice of commencement is it must be filed in advance. Well, it should be filed in advance, but it cannot be filed more than 90 days in advance of the start of the job. But what would happen if it expired? Well, you just file another one. So now the job has started, and what's being indicated here is the not-in-privity contractors must file the notice to owner within 45 days of first furnishing materials. And you'll remember there's also the second possibility that they have to file this before the contractor has received the final payment. And now the work is going along, and perhaps the owner does not pay. And so now we have the issue of when can I file the lien? Well, assuming that you've properly established your lien rights, either A, by being in privity to begin with, or B, filing the notice to owner in a proper manner, you would now have a right to file a lien, which could be filed 90 days after the last furnishing of materials. But here again, there's another proviso, which is the original contractor defaults. So the deadline really is 90 days from the last furnishing of materials or from when the original contractor defaulted. Now, once you've actually filed the lien, it's not enough to just go home. What you now have to do is to formally notify the owner that you filed the lien. And this must be done within 15 days after recording the lien. Now, once you have formally notified the owner that the lien claim has been filed, you must wait 5 days before actually trying to enforce the lien. Now, the option to enforce the lien is basically you have to foreclose on the property. A lien is good for a year, and it gives you the alternative to foreclose on the property for payment. And the lien duration is indicated over here. So this is basically the timeline of the issues with a lien. However, the owner may wish to defend him or herself, or may wish to contest events. And so we have some options that the owner is allowed to do in this event. The first thing is that the owner can bond off the lien. The owner can provide a bond of 136% of the amount in question plus $500, and the lien then is removed from the property and placed onto the bond. The second thing the owner could do is the owner could attempt, in a sense, to stall, if you like, but the owner can request that the sub or the contractor provide the owner with a sworn statement of account. In other words, just like if you got a bill you didn't understand from Sears, you might take a look at asking them to give you some documents that show that you charged these amounts. And if so requested, the sub or contractor must provide it within 10 days. And the final option the owner has is to contest the lien. And if the owner does this, the owner is basically saying, look, either foreclose or go away forever. And if this contest of lien is filed, then the lien duration is shrunk from 1 year to 60 days. That completes our informational section of the module. Keep in mind that you now have to go through the outline point by point and make sure you mark your reference books appropriately. You'll also notice that there are some references to the CRAM workbook at the very end of the module. Here again, these supplement the information. Take a look at them in the CRAM workbook, and if you need to work on them some, do so. Otherwise, go ahead and take the exam for this section. See how you did, bring any questions to your workshops. And as usual, I'm Bob Tannenbaum, and I'll see you at the CRAM.